Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. My name is Dr. Emily Coriath, and I serve as your music director. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I know folks are still making their way in. We still have lots of room down front. I promise it is not like school. You will not get called on any more than anyone else. So there's lots of room. And as folks continue to make their way in, as you see them coming in the door and looking forlorn, if you've got space near you, please feel free to wave a hand and let folks know that you've got space. We're getting more and more crowded. It's almost like we need a new building or something. In the meantime, let's rise in body or in spirit and join in our opening hymn. If you like reading music, it is number 86 in your gray hymnal. Those are scattered generously throughout the pews. And if you don't like reading the music, the lyrics, as always, are up on the screen. This is Blessed Spirit of My Life, one of my very favorites.
Good morning. Thank you. All right, well done. Everybody checking in here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. My name is Chris Zanoni, and I serve with the Personnel Committee, with the Adult Religious Exploration Team, and the Retreat Planning Team, to name a few. One thing I love about this congregation, this is going to be a long sentence, so for those of age, please don't try to diagram it. I have totally just dated myself. I love the energy of this congregation, being together today and seeing your lovely faces, and also feeling the comfort of being in community during these topsy-turvy and increasingly challenging times. Yeah, let's do a deep breath. If you're joining us online, please fill out a visitor form in the link in the description. We would love to connect with you. So many of us are here because we were seeking something larger than ourselves to which we could belong, a sense of rootedness to hold us as we create meaning together. We do that well here, though not perfectly. In this congregation, we strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. And that also means taking care of your body this morning. If you need to stand, stretch, walk your baby around, smile at someone's baby, step out, come back, cough, sniffle, cry, or even find another seat or to hear better, that is all okay. Whether it's your first time here with us in worship, welcome, or your 100th time, We hope that you here will find questions that stretch you, people to befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, living justly, and welcoming radically. Each week, we gather in community to refocus on the things which are most important in our lives, remembering who we are and what we are for. It is a serious task done joyfully, playfully, intentionally. It is a time for spiritual practice, for our essential work as human beings, a time to return to the wells from which we draw meaning and sustenance. I'd like to invite Kate McQuaid to say a few words and to light our chalice this morning.
It took me 10 years after our move to Boulder to realize I had a gaping, church-shaped hole in my heart. We had been deeply engaged in our UU congregation in St. Louis. The loss of that community opened up the hole in my heart, but it was a First Unitarian Church of St. Louis-shaped hole. The places we visited here didn't fit. So for 10 years, I lazed around on Sunday mornings, unaware that anything was missing from my life. But my spouse, Joe, felt the absence. One December, he asked me to go with him to an Advent service at the UCC church in Boulder. There was talk of light and hope and love. 15 minutes into the service, I started weeping, and I couldn't stop. And it wasn't that gently flowing tears from under your eyelids weeping. I was making noise. I cried through the whole service. In that place, I could feel people gathered to support each other in living rightly with hope and love. Plunged into that feeling, I was abruptly aware of how long it had been absent from me. For 10 years, I had been living my life, being a daughter, working on a marriage, enjoying and enduring my work, learning and aging, figuring out what it means to be a human without a community to hold me while I did it. I wept for having done without that and for rediscovering that it exists. Talk about an Advent. We didn't join the UCC church, grateful though I am for my experience that day. I was raised without religion, so words like God and Jesus, I can find meaning in them, but it's not my native language. Here with you, is where I fill up. You provide hope and love as I try making sense of being human and living rightly. I think there are plenty of folks out there who have a Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder-shaped hole in their hearts. I would like this place to be ready for them. So I'm glad to donate what Joe and I can to the Capital Campaign, to maintaining and enlarging this place where we do church together. In gratitude for this community and for what we offer to a hurting world, I light the chalice this morning.
Will you take a breath with me?
Yeah, as I said in the 9 o'clock service, that is your permission slip for the rest of the service. And in fact, until you go to bed this evening, at any time, you may take a giant breath and let it out in whatever way feels right. Yeah. Since the turn of the year, in our worship planning meetings, Reverend David and Rachel and I have been sitting with the question, what do people need the most? And we woke up on Saturday to more impossible news as bombs fell on numerous cities in Iran. Will you take a breath with me? Every week in our services, we practice holding our joy and our sorrow individually and as a community. And that is hard work. And it seems to get harder every week because the world is full of impossible news as hearts are breaking and as unthinkable things continue to unfold day after day. Will you take a breath with me? So, most of you know that I serve here in our congregation as your music director. But not everybody knows that I have another job as a somatic experiencing practitioner. And somatic experiencing practitioners are people who help people heal and recover from trauma or incredibly big and incredibly difficult feelings. So at this particular moment, I am wearing my trauma healing hat and introducing 2 practices for us for dealing with really big and really difficult feelings. Have you ever seen a king-size candy bar? Right? How big is a king-size candy bar? Right? Have you ever tried to eat a king-size candy bar, especially at one time? Yes. Is this a fantastic idea? No. Right? No. Even if you love the candy, right? Eating a king-size candy bar all at one time is not a great idea because it is an enormous amount of candy, right? Now, generally, we think of candy as kind of a good thing, right? Or like a treat or something great, right? Now imagine that the candy bar is actually really big and really complicated feelings. Would you want to try to consume that all at one time? No way, right? Because we can kind of tell just by the scale of it that it is way too much to do all at one time, right? So of course, like most things in the field of psychology, this is like a kind of obvious thing that then we must assign a very, very big word to. Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. So we can kind of agree that eating a king-size candy bar of very big, complex feelings at one time is not a good idea. What about M&Ms?
Love them.
He's not a plant, I promise, right? I also love M&Ms. Do you know what? M&Ms, compared to a king-size candy bar, M&Ms are really small, aren't they? Yeah. And you can eat more M&Ms at one time because you can also eat them one at a time because they're really little. So what if our really, really big, complicated feelings could be broken down into the size of M&Ms and we could eat them one at a time?
Fascinating concept. Oh, I heard a really good breath there. Right? So this is something in the field of trauma healing we try to get people to think of. Instead of trying to think of everything that's happening in the world at one time, we try to break things down into little M&M-sized pieces so that we can look at things in a more manageable way. And this is where we get to the big fancy psychological term. We call this titration. Right? I know. Right? So if that is too complicated, don't worry about it. All you need to think about is the next time you feel like, oh my gosh, the world is so much, so many things are happening. There's bombs falling in Iran. There's still people in Minneapolis. What are we going to do about a person with a lot of authority trying to claim that, I'm not even going to say all the things that are going around in the news because it's so terrible I can't even get my mouth to say them. But when we start to get all these things piling up in our minds and we think, oh my gosh, so many terrible things are happening and so many people are hurting and suffering, it starts to feel like a giant king-size candy bar of very, very, very bad feelings. And that's when we need to slow down and start to think about things in very M&M-sized amounts of, can I smile at someone? Can I hug someone in my class? Can I say something nice to someone? What's one nice thing I could do today? And take these M&M-sized actions and try to think of things in much more manageable pieces. Yeah? So that's thing one. If you want to think of the fancy word, it's titration. But you also don't have to think of that. We're just going to think of M&M-sized feelings and actions. Okay? The other thing we're going to think about today is, I'll tell you a secret about myself. My husband, Tad, he sometimes likes to be referred to as Mr. Dr. Emily. He will tell you the truth about me is that I do not like doing chores. And one of the things that I like the least is he is really great at doing the laundry, and then he will give me a big pile of folded laundry, which I then do not put away. And so what happens is, because he's really, really good at doing the laundry, I get more and more and more and more piles of clean laundry, which should go somewhere and do not, until they become so big that the dogs make nests out of them. And then it becomes like a really big problem, and I really need to do something about it. So there's so much laundry to put away that I really can't do it all at one time. So we have to come up with a solution for this. And of course, there's also a fancy psychological term for this, which I'll tell you in a minute. Do you know the name of the part of a clock that goes back and forth like this? A pendulum. Yes, someone gets a Smarty Pants award. A pendulum. The pendulum goes back and forth, and this is what I do with my chore of putting the laundry away. I spend a little bit of time putting laundry away, which I don't really love, and then I give myself a little break and I do something that I do like petting my dogs or reading a book or having a snack. And then I go back and I put a little bit more laundry away, and then I take another little break, and I do this going back and forth until the job is done. This is called pendulation in the world of psychology. And this is another thing that we can do with our hard feelings. So sometimes people say, like, oh, when you have hard feelings, you just have to think of like good vibes, right? And the problem with just thinking of good vibes all the time is that it doesn't make space for your hard feelings. But the thing that we like in trauma healing about pendulation is that we're not just erasing our bad feelings, we're actually making a practice of moving back and forth between the thing that's really hard and a thing that is pleasant that we like, because it reminds us that the hard thing will not last forever and that there are still good and pleasant things in the world. And so we can use this with our really difficult feelings too. When you read a news report or something really sad is happening, you can pet your dog or eat something really nice that you like, or call a friend who makes you laugh, or go outside into the sunshine, and then come back to the thing that's really hard so that you are practicing reminding yourself that the hard thing is not a forever thing. Yes, it's very real, and it might not go away right away, but it's also not the only thing that is real in the world right now. So there you go. Those are 2 tools that you can use when it feels like emotions are getting very big and hard to manage. You can think of them shrinking down into little M&M-sized bites, or you can use the skill of pendulation, moving into something that is pleasant and then going back to the difficult thing to kind of help you process. Can we take a big breath together? Then, of course, there's always singing, which we were going to do next anyway. All right, this is from the fabulous Melanie Demore. We're going to do the chorus together, and then the verses are call and response. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared.
I know you're scared.
Well, I'm scared too.
Well, I'm scared too.
But here I am.
But here I am.
Right next to you.
Right next to you.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Oh, it feels good to sing together on this beautiful day that should not have been coming for another month. But here it is, wonderful and wrong both at the same time. Exactly. There's pendulation. Wonderful, wrong. In my early 20s, working for a summer as a hospital chaplain, my boss, so I've told some of you this story, my boss was this feisty, compassionate Irish nun. She was a former nurse. She was the youngest of 12 siblings. And she would often say to this circle of students that I was in, I'm not going to attempt the Irish accent, she would say, the thing you must do is go down the elevator. And she would give no additional information whatsoever at all. Just that. And then she would grin like she had just told the biggest joke in the world. Go down the elevator from head to heart, that is. I was still in school then, and I had spent a lot of my life, most of my life really, up to that point, had been about relationships and jobs and classes as a series of problems to be figured out and solved. And then, in fact, I would get graded on my solutions. But Sister Marianne was saying, no. Let go of all of that. Set that down just for a moment. You don't have to all in one breath let go of intellectualization, of puzzling your way through the world. You don't have to let go of that once and for all, but just set it down for a minute. Go down the elevator. All that stuff will be waiting for you. And show up. Show up to another person as a person, wholly present. Let go of the defenses of intellectualization, of irony and sarcasm that distance you. Let go of the masks that you wear to protect you. Let go of the pressure of having to know the one right thing to do and then the shame of getting it wrong. Go all the way down to the ground floor so that there's something solid underneath you. And let yourself have the courage to trust that your compassion will sustain you, even in the hardest things. The courage to love is a difficult discipline. It's not ignorant or naive or even optimistic, exactly, expecting that everything's going to be fine no matter what. It is instead a kind of love that gazes steadily at hurt in ourselves and in the world and doesn't turn away from that. That's the hard work of love. I got to practice that again yesterday, reading the news of the attacks, of the bombing in Iran. Because my first instinct still, my first reflex, is to keep it at a distance. It's easy to retreat into analysis, into opinions, into forecasts about what's coming and how, in trying to understand. And it's not that it's bad to try to understand at all. It's just that I needed also to go down the elevator. And remember that at the center of what's happening is human beings, only human beings. That's it. None of us ultimately separate from one another. In that spirit, I offer these words for reflection. This by Anne Weems called, I No Longer Pray for Peace. On the edge of war, 1 foot already in. I no longer pray for peace. I pray for miracles. I pray that stone hearts will turn to tender-heartedness, and evil intentions will turn to mercifulness, and all the soldiers already deployed will be snatched out of harm's way, and the whole world will be astounded onto its knees. I pray that all the God talk will take bones and stand up and shed its cloak of faithlessness and walk again in its powerful truth. I pray that the whole world might sit down together and share its bread and wine. Some say there is no hope, but then I've always applauded the holy fools who never seem to give up on the scandalousness of our faith, that we are loved and that we can truly love one another. So I no longer pray for peace. I pray for miracles. Be together in silence for just a few minutes to let that prayer sink into our own bones, to remember the belovedness, not just of others, but of ourselves too. And breathe into it as if it was really true, just for a few moments, because it is. Amen. Our commitment to connect bravely means we're called to be glad with those who rejoice and weep with those who mourn. And each week we set aside this time in the service to make visible in ritual the joys and the sorrows that are shaping our lives. We invest ritual with the meanings that well up from within, but it moves in both directions. It changes us in the process of doing it. The table here has a tray filled with ordinary, extraordinary dirt, earth formed from 1,000 generations of cottonwood and aspen leaves, watered by snowmelt and thunderstorm and burned by fire and mulched by buffalo and prairie dog. This is sacred earth. And the bowls have stones from Boulder Creek, little pieces of mountain with their edges broken open by time, and water, and motion. Each stone that you'll take, if you come forward, is a symbol of the joys and the cares that you hold, the things that anchor you solid and the things that pull you down, both at once. And I invite you to take one and place it in the earth, held in the larger whole. We have in this room, as we do this ritual now, a beautiful problem, the best problem to have, which is there are so many of us that it takes a minute for all of us to come through, starting with the back and then the sides and then the front. But I invite you into it in silence, despite all of the lovely people around you that you would actually like to chat with. I invite you instead into a kind of stillness, of a settling in. I think sometimes of the image of my brain, my heart, being like a bowl of water with mud down at the bottom that's been all swirled up. And it just takes time for that to settle back down to the bottom again. It takes time to separate out the swirl of my thoughts from what's really going on, who I want to remember to be. So that's the invitation, is to let the music hold you and to come forward in silence, not just to put your own stone in, but to be a witness, each to all. This week we lift up Elizabeth, who asks for compassion for those with whom I disagree. And we hold in love and in care Marge Mago, who shares blessings to the many who organized and moved her to a nursing facility and an invitation for visitors later in the day. For all the blessings, all the concerns we carry, we hold this compassionate space with love. And please come forward as you feel moved in silence. You can take a breath with me. Every traffic jam of bodies in this room is just more argument for the capital campaign. Y'all did good. I heard someone say once that courage is not the absence of fear, but instead the judgment that something else is more important. Which is also to say, I don't think we are aspiring, I don't think we're working to become people who never feel fear, but to become people who don't act from that fear. Have you ever seen videos of sheepdogs herding sheep? It's almost like, or maybe you've seen a shark swimming through a school of fish, and it's almost like there's something magnetic around the outside of it, where the sheep in front of the dog does not herd sheep by like chomping on them. The dog herds sheep just by getting close enough that the sheep don't like it, and off they go. I think that's what fear feels like sometimes. On a snowy night in Prague in 1939, Martha Sharp leapt out of a taxi and ducked around a corner and flattened herself into the shadows of a doorway where she could hear the heels of a pursuing Gestapo officer as he passed. Martha went into an unlit apartment building and went up 5 flights of stairs and rang the bell of a known anti-Nazi leader. But the woman who opened the door denied she'd ever even heard of the man Martha was asking for. Martha begged. She said there's so little time. She showed her American passport. Well, just a moment, said the woman in Czech, closing the door in her face, opening it then a few minutes later with the man standing beside her. Martha asked, "Are you the man that I'm looking for?" And he said, "I can give him a message." So standing there on this unlit landing 5 stories up, she said she had been charged by a group of refugee workers with transporting him to the British embassy so that he could be smuggled out of the country. He told her, "Wait a moment," and disappeared into the apartment and opened the door again, this time wearing an overcoat, saying simply, "I am him." And together they walked through the wind and the snow across the city, stopped by a soldier at the bridge over the river in the center of town. Martha produced her passport and confidently announced, without breaking stride, "Americans," and they were waved across. Stopped by another soldier on the other side, the passport trick worked again. But then, just steps outside the British embassy, a 3rd officer stopped them, and Martha began to complain loudly about the lack of taxis and her frustration at being late for a meeting with the embassy secretary, and flashed her passport and demanded the guard tell the secretary that Mr. and Mrs. Sharp are here now. And he waved them ahead to speak with the British guard, and they went into safety. And Martha returned to her apartment then, alone, back to meet her actual husband, who was coming back from a similar mission. And they watched out their windows as soldiers looted Prague's stores and warehouses the German army had entered just weeks before. And that man was one of hundreds they saved. Martha Sharp may be the closest we ever come to a Unitarian James Bond. Smuggling refugees out of Czechoslovakia. But before that, she was a social worker trained at Hull House in Chicago, and her husband, Waitstill, was a Unitarian minister serving a church in Wellesley, in the affluent, peaceful suburbs of Boston. Before Prague, their lives were as straightforward as life gets for 2 parents of young kids, trying to navigate home and work and children. Straightforward until a Sunday evening in January of 1939, when a call came from the vice president of the American Unitarian Associations before the Universalists merged. And he met with them that same evening and asked them, would they go to Prague? Would they help to carry out the first ever international relief work that Unitarians had done and help Jews and intellectuals and political leaders escape the inevitable war that was coming? Waitstill asked him, how many ministers did you ask before you got to me? 17 was the answer. And others declined for perfectly good reasons, for safety, so as not to leave their families. But Martha and Waitstill Sharp said yes. They had no background in international relief, or for that matter, in diplomacy or espionage, but they left their kids in the care of close friends, and they went to Europe, 2 weeks of briefings in London, and then east to Prague, surviving there in a city occupied by a militarized police force which did not respect the rule of law, using their privilege as US citizens to outwit secret police who disappeared their neighbors in plain sight, offering direct aid to refugees fleeing persecution. There's a Ken Burns documentary, tells their story. Have any of you seen this? Yeah, a few. Martha Sharp, bluffing her way past the Gestapo on a snowy bridge in Prague. It is intense and dramatic. In my mind's eye, it's sort of on like a shaky handheld camera, right? Sort of like Jason Bourne style. But the practical reality is that almost all of what the Sharps actually did was not espionage kind of things, but the steady and relentless navigation of bureaucracy. They arranged relief supplies in France by train. Imagine the correspondence and the contracts and the spreadsheets that go into that, right? They brought groups of kids out of that country. They helped arrange visas, which is not simply filling out a form, but finding the employment guarantees in the US that were the requirement for immigration, securing identity papers, advocating at embassies. And nor was any of that done alone, but only possible through this vast network of support. So the church members and family friends who cared for their children, the legions of contacts of many faiths throughout Europe, Unitarians across this country who supported them financially, and then in Europe it was connections with business clubs like Rotary, the American Friends Service Committee, and the International YMCA. Those were the networks of connection and relationship that allowed them to move in diplomatic circles and open bureaucratic roadblocks. What is the most powerful thing one person can do to bend this world towards justice? Well, not to do it alone as one person, it turns out. In every nonviolent direct action, whether it is smuggling people out of Europe in the 30s or neighbor supporting neighbor in Minneapolis today, in every direct nonviolent action, what we see and notice on the front lines are only the most visible activists putting their bodies on the line. But in every case, without exception, there's an ecosystem of people at work making it possible. And the friends caring for the Sharps' kids are no less a vital piece of that than the Sharps themselves. I love this story of the Sharps, and it, I think, doesn't take anything away from their heroics to say that the way I told it to you, the way I told this story, the way it's framed as a story of courage is told in terms that we're used to, mythic and monumental, superhuman almost, and solitary. Courage is facing down the dragon alone, is running into the burning building. These things are, of course, courageous, of course. But I tell you, what I see most of all for courage, what I see most frequently, is the steady courage I see day after day. And it's not as much a visible outside job that people can point to as much as an inside job I see people with the courage to own their own mistakes, to say, I screwed up and I see the impact on you and that matters to me and I'm sorry and I'm going to work to do it differently. That's courage. I see people with the courage to say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do or what the solution is, but I won't let my ignorance or uncertainty ferment into shame or inaction. I see people with the courage to connect, to ask each other in so many words, how is your heart today? And then to listen and hear and hold the real, true stories of the people around them without trying to fix or save or give advice or distance themselves from it. I see people with the courage to be vulnerable, even if they don't know how that vulnerability is going to be met. This is what happened to me, maybe one of the most powerful things a person can say. In all of that, it's a kind of courage for integrity, a courage for your outsides to match your insides, actions to match values. It comes from the word in French, cœur, or heart. And each of those sort of acts of everyday courage, not the monumental stuff, everyday courage is an act of putting your heart first. It's heart courage that breaks you out of the everyday routine. Heart courage that lets you step deeper, that lets you pause and give your full attention when your kid says, I had a terrible day today. It's courage that lets you set everything else that needed doing right in that moment aside and show up. Maya Angelou says, courage is the most important of all the virtues because without it, you can't practice any other virtue. You can't consistently be fair or kind or generous or forgiving without courage. In one of the letters gathered in the New Testament, an early Christian who calls himself James writes to the scattered group of Jesus followers trying to figure out how to live with integrity in a world that absolutely did not make room for them to do it. And he writes to them, what good is it if you have faith but don't have works? Can faith save you? If a brother or sister is naked and lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm, and eat your fill, and yet you don't supply their bodily needs, what's the good of that? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I by my works will show you my faith. Now, there are at least 500 years of theological arguments over exactly what James means there and all the nuances and twists and turns, and I don't really care about any of them because I want to suggest simply that maybe James means what he says. Maybe he just means what he says, that nothing that goes on inside your head or your heart matters unless it's connected to your hands, unless it makes that journey from the inside to the outside. James is saying if you have the right beliefs, the right thinking, if you have the right values, beautiful, and don't act on those, what good is it? It's only by taking your heart and giving it the courage to act that you make those things real. Everyday courage means going down the elevator, showing up to yourself and each other. It means choosing love instead of shame. It means caring for yourself like you would a dear friend. That the inherent worth and dignity of every person does not apply only to everyone else, but also to you. Everyday courage means letting your heart break without shattering. That's the ordinary work. The daily kind of work that prepares you then to say yes when the call comes, even if you're the 17th person to get it. Amen. We rise in body or spirit. Let's sing together. It's number 168, one more step.
Each week, we split our plate with nonprofits in the area doing tangible work to make the world a better place. This week, our offering goes to Boulder Food Rescue. We have a short video clip for you to see.
Hi everyone, this is Sean with Boulder Food Rescue again. If you've not heard of us, we're a local nonprofit that works to create a more just and less wasteful food system through collecting food that would be wasted and redistributing it to communities living with food insecurity. Boulder Food Rescue operates through a decentralized distribution system. This means that each time we redistribute food, it goes straight to communities and looks a little different every time. This is because communities organize and run their own food distributions. This allows every community the flexibility to create a no-cost grocery program that works most effectively for them. This decentralized system is based on mutual aid models and has allowed BFR to be highly resilient and adaptive to the chaos that we've seen this last year. If you were here last week, you heard me talk a little bit about community support and resilience, but I wanted to dive deeper into that topic and the role it plays in Boulder Food Rescue's work. Interdependence is a concept that I think about a lot. Interdependence is the understanding of our reliance on each other and others' reliance on us. It helps us see both our autonomy as individuals and our connection to others. In other words, interdependence is community. And at the heart of mutual aid work, whenever disaster strikes, it is the on-the-ground mutual aid communities that are the first to respond and meet people where they are at. BFR chose to structure our programming on mutual aid work because we knew it would give us flexibility, resilience, and the ability to adapt quickly, traits that were vital to our work in 2025. Because BFR's work is centered in community action, we were able to accomplish amazing things in 2025 despite all of the systemic setbacks and chaos we encountered. BFR was able to become fully staffed. We built relationships with new food donors, including local farms. We launched our in-house software, Rootable. We expanded our Food Rescue Alliance workshops and resource sharing. And we adapted programming to respond to threats to our communities, such as the withholding of SNAP benefits back in November, as well as direct threats to our immigrant communities. And during all of this, we were also able to rescue and redistribute over 600,000 pounds of food, which is more food than we've ever redistributed. There are many ways that you can support the work that we do through donations, volunteering, or simply talking about our organization to your friends. These are all vital forms of support that help strengthen our community and networks. If you have any questions about the work that we do or how you can get involved to support Boulder Food Rescue, please reach out to us at our website at boulderfoodrescue.org. We'd love to have time to chat with you. Thank you all for your time today.
Really amazing and important work. As the baskets come around, or as you scan the QR code, I invite you to give as generously as you are able. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community and the wider world. Before we close, I have a few invitations. first, I know this may be something you're going to do. Are you curious about different groups and teams at UUCB and how to get involved? Join us for an opportunities fair in the Sky Room during coffee hour, which is out that way or around that way. Second, as mentioned a little bit earlier, we are entering the last few weeks of our capital campaign and annual fundraising. We are 70% of the way toward our goal. Yeah. And the last 30% is the most important. If you haven't met with your steward yet, please do so. If you have already, please turn in your pledge cards to the office or our mailbox. And if you've done that already, please give yourself a pat on the back. And now, finally, Dr. Emily has an announcement.
Next week, Sunday, March 8th, is our second installment of Pop-Up Choir. You may be asking yourself, what in the great gravy is Pop-Up Choir? Pop-Up Choir is for anybody who wants the experience of singing with people, but for whatever reason is not able to be at choir rehearsal on Thursday nights. So you come at 10 o'clock, and we meet, and we learn a song, and then we sing it in the 11 o'clock service. So no risk, no commitment. You just show up, learn a song, and sing. What could be better? So it's perfect if you used to sing in choir and haven't in a long time and just kind of want to see if it's still in there. It's perfect if you've never sung in a choir in your life and want to see what all the hubbub is about. It's perfect if you sing in the regular choir every week and just can't get enough. It's perfect if you are not even sure if you can sing. It's perfect. It's just perfect. So everyone should come. There's no limit on how many people can be there. It doesn't even matter if you've never tried singing before in your life. We'll make it fun and friendly, and it'll be great. Bring your friends. It's for all ages. You'll love it.
Before we close in song in just a moment, one other announcement that I forgot to share, which is 15 minutes after the service at 12:30 or so, Scott, our community and connection manager, and myself and Rachel, our director of religious education, will be in the listening room, which is out that back corner door, for any new-ish people who want to connect and chat and have questions. There's no real agenda except to get to know you and answer your questions. I would love to see you there and connect. It's wonderful. It's for everyone. Under all circumstances.
You have to do the high kick.
Will you rise in body or spirit? We'll close in song. No, that's it.
No closing
Yeah.
words. Okay. All right. 2 repeat after me and then 1 together. Courage. Courage. My friend. My friend. You do not travel alone. We will. We will. Go with you. Go with you. And sing your spirit home. Do it again. Courage. Courage. My friend. My friend. You do not travel alone. We will. We will. Go with you. Go with you. And sing your spirit home. One more time, just for fun. Courage. Courage. My friend. My friend. You do not travel alone. We will. We will. Go with you. Go with you. And sing your spirit home. Our worship ends and our service begins. Go in peace.